Hey cruisers, we're so happy to have you here today. This special Caribbean ports and shore excursions live stream is sponsored today by cruiseline.com, where, as you know, you can find reviews, tips, and photos from real, everyday cruisers. And what makes this so cool is that Simon, the community manager from cruiseline.com, is going to be joining us to help to answer your questions on today's topic. So we're really excited to have an expert in the house. He knows a lot about the Caribbean, he knows a lot about cruises. So in order to help me out and to help Simon from cruiseline.com today, if you could do us a favor, as always, when we're in these live chats, and keep your questions relatively short, that helps me so much to maintain eye contact with you in the camera instead of my computer down here. And it will probably also help Simon and the rest of our cruise community to answer your questions quickly and efficiently and get to as many people as possible. So we're so excited to have you here. Thank you very much for taking time out of the middle of your Saturday. The weather in California today is absolutely gorgeous and sunny. It is finally in the 70s, and we're so happy to be seeing the sun after months of rain. And I know everyone who's not in California is hating on me right now because we always have pretty good weather, but welcome everybody. Thank you so much. I'm gonna take a look down and see who's here today. It looks like we have so many people coming in. We have Rhode Island, Ohio, Houston, Michigan. I love that you guys are telling me where you're from. This is so cool. Night Audit is here from Victoria, BC. Yay, you made it. Kansas City is here. I see Simon from cruiseline.com. Hi, Simon. Glad you made it. Thank you so much. Upstate New York, Pennsylvania, a lot of East Coast, you guys. This is awesome. Oh, hi, Mike and Cheryl from Toronto. I did not know you guys lived in Toronto. I learned something today. We have got 10 degrees in Rhode Island. Oh, Adam, I'm sorry, that's freezing. My goodness sakes. So it looks like we have some questions coming in already here. I see Almira One Zanat says, is it a better idea to book personal shore excursions on your own beforehand or to go with ones from the people in the port? That's a really good question and totally a matter of personal conviction. It really depends on your level of risk, whether or not you are comfortable with winging it or if you prefer to have things pre-planned. So I'm sure that people are going to weigh in on your question here and give their opinion. We have some more questions coming in. We have a question from Deidre. What are your thoughts on Costa Maya? What should I look for there? That's a really good question. We have, let's see here. We've got another one here about whether it's a good idea to book shore excursions on your own or go with people right when you get off on the port. I think it depends on safety too. It depends on what port you're in and whether or not it has really solid safety ratings would be another good thing to measure there. Kate Rose is asking, what would I do for 4 days at sea? That is an awesome question, Kate, and I will answer that for you. If I had 4 days at sea, depending on the cruise line, I would probably enjoy some of the activities around the ship. One of my favorite things to do on sea days is to go to high tea if it's offered on cruise lines. I find it to be very relaxing. It's not stuffy at all, and it's just a very nice, refined experience. That's something I love. I love lounging by the pool. We also love trying to challenge ourselves to do things that are relatively inexpensive or free. So some of the things that we like to do that don't cost any money would be to go on a photo safari around the ship. Walk around with your camera and snap pictures of your family, your friends, your cruising companions, and take the best camera that you have and just keep it with you all the time and make a point to take pictures every day. I hope that helps you. It looks like we have some people asking about good things to do in Cozumel, Grand Turk, Roatan. Oh my goodness, Simon, you're going to be overwhelmed. I think I'm going to try to answer some of these questions too, and we'll have everyone else answering in the live chat here. I can tell you what I like to do in Cozumel, and I know you guys have heard me say this before, so you'll have to forgive me for being a broken record, but I like the beach clubs. I like Nachi Cacombe personally, and I also hear really great things about Mr. Sancho's. So if you're a beach person and you like an all-inclusive day for about $55, you can take a cab to one of those spots and have all you can drink, all you can eat, swimming in the ocean, swimming in the pool, great service and a great experience. You can rent scooters, you could rent a Jeep, you could take an island tour, you could take a snorkeling tour. There's so much to do in Cozumel. Simon from cruiseline.com is saying that for peace of mind, in most ports, it's best to book in advance, and that cruiseline.com actually offers shore excursions for groups. So I think that's a really good thing to do, is research there. And both of the groups that they work with, so Shore Excursion Group and Shore Fox, both offer a return to ship guarantee. So definitely check that out. That's awesome advice. Perfect. Thank you. We've got a question coming in as well about things to do on the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. Awesome question. I've never been to any of those three, but I would love to go sometime. So hopefully you'll get somebody weighing in on that soon. Hello from Texas. There we go. Let's see here. Grand Turk. We've got some suggestions coming in for Grand Turk. Jimmy Buffett's pool resort right off of the pier in Grand Turk. That is awesome. I've never heard of that before. So I think what you're telling me, Adam, is that there's a pool at the resort, and it's kind of like you walk there and it has a surf simulator. That sounds really, really fun. Let's see here. Oh, ideas on what to do in Belize. Sydney, you're asking what to do in Belize. I have been to Belize once on a cruise, and it was with Royal Caribbean. We took an excursion that we booked independent from the cruise line to Goff's Key, and that's spelled Goff. And you take a boat after you take your tender, which is a very long tender, by the way, when you're cruising to Belize. And you go to the little pier that has all the tourist information in it. And what they do is they take you on another little boat out to a little teeny tiny remote island in Belize. It is literally a strip of sand with a couple of palm trees in it, a shack for a barbecue and some drinks, and the most awesome snorkeling ever. I would highly recommend Goff's Key to everyone. I went there a few years ago, and I went with a group of people who said that it was one of those days where, seriously, Sydney, you need to be pinched at the end of the day because it didn't seem real. When you are pulling up in that boat to that little teeny tiny island with the palm trees sticking out of it, it looks like something out of Gilligan's Island. It's absolutely fantastic, so I would recommend that for Belize. Let's see here. We've got a lot of different questions coming in.
I have one question.
You have a question for me? Go for it.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
one. Jeff Rogers from Texas.
Hey, Jeff.
Is it better to book your own pre- and or post-cruise hotel or go through the cruise line?
That's entirely up to you. A lot of people do go through the cruise line, and they're getting a little bit more price controlled these days. Booking your hotel, in case you didn't hear what my husband said, booking your hotel and your transfer. Was it transfers as well? Or was he just asking about the hotels, just the hotels? It's up to you. I think you're probably safe to book your hotel on your own. You know, with all things considered, there's probably not a huge difference. And you may be able to find that, you know, some of them have specials for cruisers. Anyway, there used to be people coming into the port and have cruises, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. All right. Bonnie's asking, do I think it would be worth it for her to book an Alaskan cruise on Hal, first cruise of the season, May 17th? Bonnie, I do, and I'm speaking from personal experience on that. We've actually only been to Alaska ever in May. We've actually generally been in the second week of May, and we always heard horror stories. We would hear things like, it's going to be raining, it's going to be cold, you can't get to the glacier. And we have had one rainy day in 4 Alaskan cruises. We've had no problems at all. It's less crowded. There is, however, a risk that you will not be able to get close to a glacier, and we have had that issue twice. So if you are dead set on getting really close to the glacial area, the passageway may be a little bit too frozen still to get close, so that's a risk that you take. We like it because it's less expensive. There are less kids on board. We have a child, so we love cruising with a child, but it's also kind of nice to go on a cruise where the kids haven't gotten out of school yet, if that's important to you. So that's something that I would recommend. Bonnie, I think you should go for it. I think you should absolutely go for it. Sydney, I'm glad you like the suggestion for Belize. Someone wants to know if you can swim with dolphins in Ocho Rios and Cozumel. Oh, Ocho Rios is in Jamaica, not in Cozumel there, Dawn. Maybe you're saying Ocho Rios or Cozumel. So hopefully somebody can tell you. I'm not sure about that. Beach Bum is asking about the NCL Haven being worth the cost. I know, Beach Bum, that a lot of people feel that it is. I've never stayed in the Haven. I don't have a budget for that, so to me it's not worth the cost. But for a lot of people it may be, especially if you're traveling with a few more people. But I've heard that the experience is fantastic. All right, let's see here. Cruiseline.com is weighing in on Curacao, you guys. Simon is saying that in Curacao, members give high marks to the beach at Blue Bay Resort, $8 a person to get in, that's it? That is such a good deal. Thank you for that advice. I am very happy to hear about that. Blaine says, I'm a blind man taking my first cruise soon. That's awesome, Blaine. I hope you have a wonderful time. Let me know what cruise line you've chosen. I'm very curious to know. All right, let's see what else we have here. Kristen wants to know if anyone's been on Royal Caribbean Liberty of the Seas. Kristen, we actually have been on Liberty of the Seas. We haven't been on that many Royal Caribbean cruises, but Liberty of the Seas is one that we went on before the refurbishment. So when it was still sailing out of Florida, we went to Belize and Cozumel on that ship, and it was fantastic. It's a huge ship. It's a mega ship by our standards. We're used to smaller, more medium-sized ships, but we had a fantastic time. It was great. We even went ice skating on Royal Caribbean's Liberty of the Seas. It was wonderful. And I loved Cozumel and I loved Belize. They were great ports. I hope that you book one out of Galveston. That sounds great. Let's see what we have here. Cruiseline.com is recommending some things to do in Jamaica. Simon from cruiseline.com said in Jamaica, doing a resort day is a good option. They recommend a resort for a day for some great. I think that's an awesome plan, and it sounds like that would be very safe as well, and an awesome way to see the island. All right. Let's see what we have here. Lots of people are asking about Liberty of the Seas today. Ray, you want to know if we can do a tour of Allure of the Seas? We'd love to. You want to buy us a couple cruise tickets? Just kidding. We'd love to get on one of the big Royal Caribbean ships soon. We're going to work on that. Tasman wants to know between St. Thomas, St. Kitts, Curacao, and Aruba, which port is the best not to do an excursion and relax on the beach. Any great beach recommendations? I can tell you, Tasman, that a lot of people take, I believe it's a ferry or some kind of a boat from St. Thomas to St. John and go to beaches there. I want to say Trunk Bay is one that I've heard wonderful things about. So that's awesome.
How about this one from Roberto Quesada? Is it worth it? $50 per person to purchase an ocean view room.
Oh, okay. So Roberto, you're telling us that you can get a $50 upgrade to an ocean view room from an inside. If that's your question, yes, it's probably worth it. It would be really nice to be able to see the ocean. Although there's nothing wrong with inside cabins. We've actually gotten quite used to them. Even when we go to Alaska, sometimes that's it within our budget and that's all we can do and we don't pay more. But if it's only $50 difference, that's a pretty good deal if you ask me. Sounds good. Sounds awesome. All right, let's see what we have here. Some more questions. Let's see here.
How about any help about, is it a good idea to book an excursion in Aruba if you have a short 4.5-hour stay? This comes from Night Audit.
Night Audit, if I were going to Aruba for 4.5 hours, I would absolutely book an excursion, maybe even through the ship or something like cruiseline.com recommended. Use one of their tour providers because they have a return to ship guarantee. You've heard us talk before about the fact that we sometimes do book with a ship and sometimes we don't. I would definitely want some peace of mind on that. So if you could scroll back up to cruiseline.com suggestions on those return to ship guarantee places, that'd be awesome. And Simon is confirming that yes, Trunk Bay is a great option in St. John. Thank you for that. Quick ferry ride from St. Thomas. I've heard it's pretty easy to access the ferry too once you're off the ship in St. Thomas, so that's cool. That's what I would do if I were going to St. Thomas. I think I would go straight to St. John and that would make a great beach day. Sounds wonderful. It sounds, for the person who asked about swimming with dolphins in Jamaica, it sounds like that is an option. Someone here, Sue G, is saying that swimming with the dolphins in Jamaica is awesome and worth it and that you can definitely do it. So that's great. Wonderful. Scott Lara is recommending Shell Beach on St. Bart's. It's within walking distance. Oh, that sounds fantastic. So walking distance from the pier, Scott, that sounds terrific. Wonderful. While we're at it, you guys, I want to throw in a couple questions from people who couldn't make it today because they had to work. A few people messaged me on Facebook, and I want to go ahead and read you their questions and see if anybody can weigh in on these. Shannon Erickson is going to Nassau and Freeport and wants to know what excursions would be fun and safe, but away from cruise crowds. So if anyone has recommendations for Nassau and Freeport for Shannon, that would be awesome. And she can, you can comment below and I'll read them out to her for later. We also have a question here from someone who's going to Georgetown in Grand Cayman and wants to know if there's public beach access easy to get to from the beach port. I think that there is. This is Melanie McIntyre wanting to know about Grand Cayman. I think you can take a cab to the beaches on 7 Mile Beach, Melanie. So if there's an expert on Grand Cayman that can weigh in on that below, that will be awesome. I will be looking for it. I'm sorry you couldn't make it today to the live stream, but as promised, we wanted to get everybody's questions answered on the Caribbean ports and shore excursions. So let's see what we have coming in here. Derek is asking, does anyone ever skip the port and use the day to enjoy the ship? Oh yeah, Derek, we totally do. A lot of us do. I think it depends on the port and how many times you've been there, how interested you are in seeing it. Maybe it's a been there, done that for you. A lot of people do that in Nassau. They stay on the ship. I know that sounds terrible. There's a lot to see in Nassau, but that is something that we do hear about on occasion. I've done it a few times in Mexico as well. Before we found something really great to do in Mazatlan, we used to stay on the ship a little bit too. So I think that's definitely something you can consider, and you shouldn't feel bad about it. Use the ship, let it be your own kind of personal wonderland while everybody else is off on shore, right? So hope that helps. Let's see what else we have coming here. It's Bethany. Hi, Bethany. Bethany's asking for ideas of things to do in Amber Cove, wanting to get away from the crowds and the busy port area. All right, we have Chris Vaughn recommending salsa and margarita in Cozumel as an awesome excursion. It looks like Chris said that if you're going to Cozumel, this excursion, salsa and margarita, allows you to make multiple salsas and margaritas and dance and have some beach time. That sounds really, really fun. That's a great recommendation. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Jim Jazz. Hey, Jimmy. Jimmy says that he has an idea for Freeport. As much as Freeport wasn't their favorite place, took an excursion to hike in a national park and ended up at a beach. Wasn't crowded and it was nice. Jennifer is asking if anybody's been on Ruby Princess to Alaska. I haven't been on Ruby, Jennifer, but I've been on several Alaskan cruises with Princess, and they're fantastic. Princess does Alaska beautifully. Highly recommend it, and the Ruby is an awesome ship. One thing I would do is double check and make sure that they have the covered pools on Ruby though, because you might want a covered pool if you plan on spending some time in the pools, and I don't know if that ship actually has the covered pool or if they're both open. That will be something to consider. CruiseLine.com is weighing in on Nassau. I really want to read this to you guys, because Nassau is a question we get all the time. Nassau offers a resort for a day package at Breezes on Cable Beach, and that's a good option. CruiseLine.com is saying that the resort is spacious and the food included is great. Thank you, Simon, because we do get that question a lot. And I know that people get tired of going to Atlantis and spending a lot of money on the water park, so that's an awesome option. We have somebody asking for ideas of things to do in Progresso. I have heard that Progresso is kind of gateway to the ruins. And so if you're going to Progresso, that's probably a good thing to plan on doing there. I haven't been, but let's see what everybody else says here. Cheryl is saying that she wants to know if anyone has done Panama Canal, thinking about doing it with Princess in April. Guess what, Cheryl? So are we. We really want to go to Panama Canal. We keep talking about it with my mom. I think we need to just sit down and figure out a date and make it happen, but it's on my dream list, and I hope that you go too, and we'll have to compare notes when we get back. You have a question?
I'm following from Emily.
All right, Emily. Husband's going to read the question and I will repeat it.
I'm bringing my parents on their first cruise this summer. Any ideas on giving them the best first impression of cruising ever?
Oh my gosh, what cruise line, Emily? I'm going to go ahead and give you general tips here for making this the best cruise ever for your parents. First of all, your cruise line will probably offer you the opportunity to give them something special in their stateroom, whether it be flowers, chocolates, champagne, or even just maybe some nice decorations on the door for them. You could absolutely do that. I think that'd be a very nice thing. You could make them reservations in advance at one of the specialty restaurants. I'm sure they'd love that. You could book a shore excursion that you think that they would love, that the whole family could go on. Hope that helps. Hopefully those are some good ideas to get you started. Let's see here. All right, I'm sharing with you guys when CruiseLine.com leaves a comment, I'm sharing it with you verbally, because what's going to happen is that after this live chat is over, we lose all of these comments. It's just the way that YouTube works. So I want to make sure that we get them into the live stream replay for everyone. CruiseLine.com said that at Freeport, some cruisers joke that Freeport in the Bahamas is for stay on the ship. Yeah, it's a stay on the ship day. Definitely a good port to stay on board and take advantage of a less crowded ship. Okay, good tip. So Freeport and Nassau then maybe, Simon? Maybe both? Who knows? I think that Nassau's nice. I like it, but everybody to each his own. So that's a good one. Thank you for that.
Emily says she's going on Princess. If that adds anything, tea time is probably
Emily, you're going on Princess. Back to your question about having a great trip with your parents. Yes, tea time would be awesome with your parents. We love it. My mom loves it. My whole family loves it. The scones and cream and jam are really good. I know it sounds silly, but it's one of our favorite things to do. We would do it on every sea day. It's only offered on sea days generally, but I highly recommend that, Emily. I think you should do it. All right, let's see what we've got here. Okay. Ooh, Ali V said, what is the best cruise you've been on that you recommend to everybody? I can't give you a best cruise because I love all of them. One of the best cruises that we have been on was a very recent cruise. We went on a 10-night Sea of Cortez and Mexican Riviera cruise with Princess. Having those extra few days on a 10-night cruise is really special for our family. When we go on cruises, we vlog full time and we like to take lots of video. That can be a little bit tiring, but when we have 10 days, we can relax into this a lot more. The Sea of Cortez is also an absolutely beautiful place. Jacques Cousteau calls it the aquarium of the Pacific, and it is full of amazing wildlife. We got to swim with whale sharks, sea lions, we snorkeled, we zip-lined in Puerto Vallarta, we had the time of our lives. I also, though, Ali V, I also love Alaska. Alaska is so grand and so beautiful, and yes, the weather is more cool, so you're not gonna have palm trees in Alaska, but it is absolutely fantastic. It's a wonderful thing to do with an extended group of family, or it can be wonderful as with a small family, friends, a romantic cruise, anything. It is not to be missed, and it's one of those places that really is better to see on a ship. Of course, there are wonderful areas inland, but seeing the inside passage is a real treat. So that has always been one of our favorites, and we really itch to do it again soon. I usually get the bug to go to Alaska every 2 years or so. Let's see what we have here. I want to read you some more comments. Hey, Ray Hunter Music, you made it. Yay, awesome. Okay, Lisa wants to know if anybody has some good excursions to go on in Naples. Ooh, that's a good one. You guys, is Naples the best place for pizza? Is that what I've heard? Do you have to have pizza in Naples, or is that Florence? I'm not sure. I haven't spent a lot of time in Italy, but maybe somebody can help you out. Mike and Cheryl highly recommending Panama Canal. It's pretty amazing, huh? You got a lot of exclamation points in that comment. So we will definitely be getting onto a Panama Canal cruise very soon, hopefully. All right, someone's asking for some excursions in Montego Bay. If anybody has ideas for Montego Bay, that would be wonderful. I have never been there. Suji wants to know if we recommend a particular cruise line for Eastern Caribbean that goes to St. Martin. They're probably all fantastic, but we did really enjoy our Holland America cruise that landed in St. Martin. It was really wonderful. I would cruise on any line that goes to the Eastern Caribbean, though. I think they're all fantastic. That's a tough one because it's so personal. You know, choosing your cruise line is such a personal thing. All right. Okay, so Mikey Photo is saying, in Naples, you definitely want to go to Pompeii. That is fantastic. Okay, we have another question for my husband. He's giving me the signal. All right.
Don Clark, what kind of things would be really useful to kindly give your room attendant in a gift bag?
Oh, that's a great question. Dawn is asking what you could give your room attendant or your stateroom steward in a gift bag. We've talked about this before on vlogs, and it's a very delicate subject because we have to remember that the stateroom stewards don't have a lot of space in their staterooms. They probably share staterooms. They're very tiny, so you don't want to give them anything large. One thing that is always nice is cash. Give them some $5 bills spread out throughout the cruise. That's always nice. Phone cards to call home are always wonderful. Things that, gift cards from little stores, or I shouldn't say little stores, from stores that you know they can shop at in a port. So for example, if your embarkation port is always Miami and there's a CVS or a Target or a Walmart nearby, gift cards for them from those places are good. Candy is always good, but things that are small and or perishable would probably be recommended. Great question. Great question. Yes.
I have one from Benny.
Benny has, okay, Benny.
My wife Lori and I are leery to cruise with anyone else but Carnival. We have become accustomed to them.
Okay.
Also, getting the loyalty days is important. Do you guys ever feel like that?
You know what, Benny? Sometimes we do prefer one line over another, and we will end up staying with the line. Benny's question was, he's saying that they prefer Carnival and they're really enjoying racking up their points, and they're not sure if they want to go to another line. And do we ever feel the same way? Sometimes we do, but we really like to spread the love out through all the cruise lines because we like them all for different reasons. So yes, I feel a little bit like that right now, Benny, with Princess, because we just got Platinum, and now I'm kind of anxious to get on more Carnival cruises because I want to get my loyalty points up. So I get that feeling. I totally understand. But when we select a cruise, we select it for ourselves, meaning that it has to be at the right time, the right price, the right port. And if that lines up with being with our, with some of our favorite lines, great. If not, we're going to try another line and get out there and really experience it. I want to read some advice from Simon at cruiseline.com that came in here. Let me see if I can find it. The comments are coming in fast, you guys. This is awesome. I want to give you all an update on how many people are here in the chat right now. Honey, do you know how many people are here?
111.
Okay, we have 111 people right now in the chat. That is so awesome. Thank you all so much for coming. Simon at cruiseline.com said that St. Martin is one of their all-time favorite Caribbean ports. Maho Beach, aka Airport Beach, is a must-do experience. That's so awesome. Simon, have you ever done the thing where you hang on the fence and let the air, gosh, what do you call it? It's not the exhaust, but the power from the jet engines like blow you over. People do that sometimes. I also heard that they're no longer, that one of the big planes is no longer flying in. Is that a bummer, or is it still pretty awesome? You'll have to let me know. I would love to do that someday too. Awesome. Thank you for that. CruiseLine.com is also recommending you guys, somebody asked about Jamaica. Dunn's River Falls is a good excursion from Montego Bay. Lots of fun. That sounds super fun too. That's the one where you hike up the waterfall, right, Simon? I think it probably is. Awesome. PJ wants to know if Montego Bay, some Montego Bay recommendations for small kids 5 and under. I wonder if that will be too little, PJ, for Dunn River Falls. It might be because the waterfall is kind of powerful, if I remember correctly. So we'll have to see here. Okay, Brandy wants to know if anybody has more than one cruise booked out. They have 4. Brandy, you are quite the pre-planner. We'll have to see what everybody says about that. Chaz, welcome from Australia. We're so glad to have you here. PJ wants to know if there are any in Maho Beach, aside from Maho Beach and St. Martin, anyone know of any good aviation themed spots? All right, Simon has never hung on the fence in St. Martin, and the 747 doesn't fly in anymore, but still an option. Okay, sounds good. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Okay. Sydney wants to know if anybody from the U.S. has been to Australia and has done a cruise from there, thinking about planning it for 2020. That's a good idea, Sydney. There's beautiful cruises going out of Australia, but that is a really long trip for you to go when you have so many options here. All right, let's see here. Barbara is asking for some tips for something to do in a wheelchair in Nassau. Hopefully someone can help you out with that. Barbara, I would definitely say that when you research your excursions, most of these organizations should tell you if they are accessible, and I would recommend that you scroll back up into the comments and look at cruiseline.com's 2 vendors that they recommend for booking excursions, because they have a return to ship guarantee, and I'm sure that when you read the descriptions of the excursions on their website, they will tell you if they're accessible or not. So that is great.
Did you see Bethany's question about any out-of-the-box tips for first-time cruisers?
Bethany wants to know if we have any out-of-the-box tips for first-time cruisers. Okay, let's see here, Bethany. Out-of-the-box tips. Now, that's a tough one because we give you guys hundreds of tips per month and I have to think about which ones are out of the box. Always, always, always remember to leave your uncomfortable shoes at home or wear them in before the cruise. That's something that's very important that people don't think about. Limit the number of shoes that you pack. I know it sounds a little bit silly, but it's one of the biggest overpacking mistakes that people make. Another out-of-the-box tip relates to your outlook going into a cruise. I think it's so incredibly important to go into your cruise knowing that things are going to change and there are going to be things that happen that maybe you don't like or you didn't plan on. You're on a seagoing vessel and things can change. You got to go into it with an open mind and a really good attitude that this is your vacation, and regardless of what happens, regardless of maybe how some people will act, that, and this goes with any vacation, that you're going to have a wonderful time. So hopefully that helps you just a little bit. Bonnie is saying that kids can take the safe way up to Dunn's River Falls. There's steps on the side. Bonnie also said that she stayed at the bottom in the tide pool, so that's optional, I think, PJ, if you wanted to do kind of a modified version of Dunn's River Falls. It sounds great. Excellent. Bonnie, I'm glad you like that. Okay. Cruiseline.com is weighing in on the first-time cruiser tips, and Simon said that, let's see here. I can't see the message anymore, so I'll bring it back to you guys in just a moment here. Okay, let's see here. Cruiseline.com said, for first-time cruisers, good tip for you. Know the difference between port time and ship's time, and be aware that the ship will indeed leave without you. Excellent advice, so very true. We had a snafu with this, everyone, when we were in Puerto Vallarta on our last cruise. We've been on over 20 cruises and we still had a snafu. You've really got to check your daily newsletter and ask people on board. Be very careful who you ask, because you want to make sure you get the right advice. But yeah, if you book an excursion on your own and you don't pay attention to the fact that there was a time change overnight and ship time is 1 hour ahead, 2 hours ahead of whatever of shore time, you could have a problem and the ship will leave without you. Thank you for that, cruiseline.com. That's excellent advice. Okay, let's see here. Okay, someone's asking about ideas for a port day in Tortola. Only there from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now the baths may be too physical. You're hoping for zip lining or the rainforest. Christine, yes, there is a little bit of a hike to get to the baths, but it's not that bad. And if you're physically able enough to go zip lining, I do think that you can handle the baths. The most physical part of it might just be you're ducking through some rocks and things to get to those main beaches. I still would recommend it if you are, okay with walking for a little bit, but hopefully someone else can weigh in on Tortola. That is a really short port time though. 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Tortola, very short time. Hopefully you'll figure something out. Let's see here. Okay. Sue G wants to know if I would consider doing a live stream on an Alaskan cruise. And Sue, my husband is saying it's unlikely we would have enough bandwidth. That's my husband's answer, okay? My answer is, of course, we would love to. We rarely do live things from our cruises because the internet is so unreliable to stream anything. But U.S. territory, Alaska, you never know, it could happen. We'd maybe consider it, but we like to kind of keep control over our live streams. And as you saw from our last one, that's not always possible. Great question. We want to go to Alaska again, though. I've been itching to do that. There's just so many choices. Panama Canal, Alaska, Tahiti. What will we do? We will have to see. All right. Okay, it looks like we've got some people going on the Norwegian Bliss soon on their transatlantic. Charles, that sounds wonderful. Sounds great. Terrific. Let's see here. Okay, Terry Black wants to know some things to do in Cabo besides normal excursions with kids. Terry, I'm not sure in Cabo what you consider to be normal excursions, but I can tell you what we do with our child. We have an 8-year-old boy. And most of the time when we go to Cabo, because we don't like to spend too much money and we just know what to do there, we take a water taxi to one of two places. We take a water taxi either to Medano Beach, which is the strip of beach that you see all of the hotels on, and we go sit at one of the bars and restaurants over there and enjoy nachos and beers and sodas, and we swim in the ocean because it's very swimmable. You can also take a water taxi, of course, out to Lovers Beach, but it sounds to me like you have been there before. So I don't know how old your children are, but depending on how old they are, there's a lot of fun things to do there, including horseback riding. You can go on camel rides. When my son is older, I want to take him on an ATV excursion, or a dune buggy excursion. There's also an adventure tour that goes inland a little bit that has some really crazy zip lines and some other fun things kind of in the deserty areas. There's so much to do in Cabo. Whale watching is one of our favorite things to do in Cabo at the right time of year, but come April, I think that's kind of the end of the season, so that option is no longer available, but hopefully that helps you a little bit. If your kids are old enough, you could consider snorkeling too. Hope that helps. All right, we have a question from hubby. Yes.
Well, actually, it's a clarification. Charles Anderson said that he would be on the NCL Bliss on the transatlantic. But at the very end of it, he said any new ship tips.
Oh, okay. New ship tips. So tips for someone who's going on a brand new ship. I think to expect the fact that you may not be able to do it all. These newer mega ships are difficult to see, so do some research beforehand. You definitely want to go on to cruiseline.com, check out all of the reviews and photos over there before you go, and see what is most important to you. I think that's the best thing you can do, is do a little bit of research, but don't do so much research that you feel like you have to do everything. That's the mistake I think that we make. On new ships like that as well, be patient. They might still be working out the bugs when you go on that, on that transatlantic, but just enjoy all of the wonderful activities that they provide to you on a transatlantic. There's so much more things that I'm sure that the ship will be providing for you to do on a day-to-day basis than a regular port-intensive itinerary. So that sounds wonderful. Okay, let's see what we have going on here. Okay, let's see here.
Good snorkeling spots in Grand Turk.
Good. Does anybody have any good snorkeling spots in Grand Turk without booking an excursion? Bethany, I've never been there, so let's see if somebody else can weigh in on good snorkeling spots in Grand Turk, and when I see them, I will check it out. Cruiseline.com, Simon has some tips on Puerto Limon, which you will hit on a Panama Canal cruise. And they say that they loved exploring the sloth sanctuary in Puerto Limon. So if you're going on a Panama Canal cruise, definitely check that one out. It looks like, let's see here. Okay, all right, Beach Bum is asking, do we recommend a cruise line or specific ship where the pools aren't overpacked? They love water and want to make sure they can actually get in the pool. Beach Bum, it may have more to do with the time you cruise than actually the ship that you're on. If you are going to be cruising when children are out of school or on a holiday break, it is going to be more crowded. Also, if you're cruising on Carnival or Royal Caribbean or Norwegian, the pools will probably be more crowded because they cater more to families. If you'd like less crowded pools, I would probably gravitate towards a mainstream line like Princess, Holland America. I don't know about MSC because I haven't been on MSC, or maybe one of the more premium lines, one of the more upscale lines might be a good fit for you, but Princess and Holland America are probably going to be a little less crowded. All right. Okay, yes. Natalie. Yes, I see that one. Is that the upgrade question? Mm-hmm. Okay, Natalie Duenas is saying, hi, if you let the cruise ship pick your room, is there a chance they will upgrade you to a balcony or ocean view? Natalie, yes. If you book a guarantee cabin, there's always a chance of an upgrade. It doesn't always happen, so don't get your hopes up. And it may be an upgrade even within your category. So you might go from a lower type of ocean view to a higher type of ocean view without going into a balcony, if that makes any sense. Maybe a more desirable ocean view, for example, there is a chance. Yes, definitely. Cruiseline.com is agreeing with us about our new ship advice, that the first cruise or two on a new ship are what's considered to be shakedown cruises, and you have to expect some issues. I can definitely see that. Sorry, you guys, my nose is itching a little bit. I apologize for doing that. I can see myself itching my nose in the camera. It's horrible. I'm so sorry. Bishy960 wants to know if our family has ever thought of doing a cruise down under. Yes, we would love to. You're getting ready to go on the 9-night Carnival Spirit trip up to the South Pacific Islands. That sounds like a dream cruise. We would love to, Bishy. When my son is a little older, I think we would like to come over to Australia and New Zealand and spend some time there and hit a cruise as a part of that. I visited Australia and New Zealand when I was about 16 with my family and absolutely fell in love with it. We got to see both sides of the country. We were in Perth and Sydney and the Gold Coast and all over the place. But guess what I did not get to do when I was in Australia? I did not get to go to the Great Barrier Reef. And I have regrets, but when you're 16, you don't get to decide the itinerary necessarily. So I would love to come back. And we will do it. We will do it when my son is a little bit older, but that is going to be an expensive one, my friends. We better get the savings account going, huh? Okay, Benny wants me to explain the different categories of the same room type. Benny, yes, I would be happy to explain that to you. What happens is that the cruise lines will sort of make a decision about a certain stateroom category will have several different classifications within it. So let me give you an example. Let's talk about balcony cabins, for example. A balcony cabin that is considered less desirable perhaps, and maybe that's a lower classification that's going to cost you less money, might be something that's on a lower deck, maybe closer to more public areas that could be potentially noisy, closer to dining rooms and bars and things like that, right? So those are going to be lower classifications. A higher classification of a balcony that might cost you more, even though the cabin is identical, might be on a higher deck, closer to the pool, closer to the buffet, more desirable. Desirable is in the eye of the beholder though, right? So it really just kind of depends. But there are the types of staterooms that you want to avoid. You know, there's many, and generally people want to avoid noise. But then again, it's all personal. I know people who like to book a cabin right by the elevator, and I know people who want to be as far away from an elevator as possible. So it's all very personal. But hope that that helps to answer your questions. Cruiseline.com is weighing in on those guaranteed staterooms. They are saying be careful with guaranteed staterooms. Sometimes an upgrade isn't an upgrade at all, and you could end up in a less desired or noisy location with an obstructed view. Yes, absolutely. You've got to be careful with that. If you are if you care at all where your room is, you don't want to book a guarantee. And I have noticed that there's not generally a massive money saving associated with a guaranteed cabin. I like to choose my own. All right. Chris Vaughn is saying that daughter Kira Lynn says hi. Hi, Kira Lynn. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Natalie Duenas wants to know if we can order unlimited food in the specialty dining restaurants. Some you can and some you can't. Some will limit you to one item from each course on the menu. So they may not let you order 3 steaks. Generally speaking though, I order 2 appetizers. Usually I like appetizers more than I like desserts. So I'd probably order, maybe a crab bisque and a Caesar salad and skip the dessert. So you could always ask them too. Hey, look, I really would like to skip this course. May I substitute it for that course? So they're not all across the board going to have a set rule. You have to check. All right, Natalie. Go ahead. You have a question for me?
Sergey wants to know if we need to change a trip to a different date, will that work?
Okay, Sergey wants to know if you can change your cruise trip to a different date, will that work? It depends on where you are in the booking process, if you have paid your final payment, and what cruise line. All of the cruise lines vary on this policy. Generally speaking, you can change your date with a small penalty. That is a kind of a vague answer, I know, but it's true. So you will have to kind of check with your travel agent or the cruise line on your specific cruise line to get good advice. All right. Okay, Adam De Silva is asking, what's the difference between the ultimate beverage package and unlimited open bar on NCL? Adam, I do not know. Let's see if somebody else can weigh in on that. Okay. Benny said, with technology today, you think you'd be able to see a virtual picture of your room. Benny, I agree. Somebody needs to get on that, right? We all need to be able to see every cruise room that we stay in. Let's see here. Okay, Chaz is saying that when we do go back to Australia, we need to take some time to check out, is it Kakadu and Tasmania? I've heard wonderful things about Tasmania. I would love to do that. There's so much to see. I want to see more of New Zealand as well. I think it would be wonderful. And we also didn't get to see the outback area, the inland area. We were kind of focused around the coast, so hopefully we'll get to do that someday. It sounds wonderful. Okay, let's see. I feel like we've probably missed some questions here, so I'm scrolling back up, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience, and thanks again, all of you, for joining us today. We hope you're having a wonderful time. Special thanks to Simon from cruiseline.com for answering questions. Simon, I'm guessing your typing speed must be like 500 words a minute right now because this is really hard to keep up with. Call Center Boy, aka Mike and Cheryl, are recommending always take advantage of the insurance on a cruise, and I have to agree. I think that's very smart. You're protecting your investment, and I think that's an excellent idea. Great. Let's see here.
Did you see the one from Adam about the difference between the ultimate beverage package?
I did, and I was telling Adam I don't know the difference between the ultimate beverage package. Okay. Sue wants to know if we recommend cruise trip insurance through the cruise line or an outside company. Sue, I think that's a personal decision. It's kind of up to you. You definitely don't have to stick with the cruise line, though. There are less expensive options out there for you, and you will pay a premium if you buy it with the cruise line, but just get it. No matter what you do, do some research, ask around, and recommend it. CruiseLine.com, in response to the person who said that they want a photo or a video of every cabin, said that they're building a database of cruise cabin photos. They have thousands already and get hundreds more every month. Search for your cabin number and the ship on the sites. That's awesome. I know that I recently uploaded some cabin photos from my cruise to CruiseLine.com, and it was really, really easy to do, you guys. It doesn't take very long at all. Definitely recommend that we do that. Okay, let's see here. Lauren is saying she's taking an Alaskan cruise in 2019, but Royal doesn't have the dates past 2017 of available sailings. When is the best time to sail for Alaska? Thinking about the last week in June 2019. Lauren, you know, summertime, because the season is so limited in Alaska, you're safe to go anytime between the early May and mid-September dates. Anytime is good. They really are. You're going to have less children and less crowds if you choose to do it in early May. Pretty much any time in the month of May before kids get out of school, but they're all wonderful, lovely. The weather can vary, though. You know, you could get rain any month of the summer season in Alaska. Let's see here. Daryl has a suggestion about St. Thomas. They went to St. Thomas and took a taxi to Coki Beach, spelled C-O-K-I, and the snorkeling at Coki Beach was amazing. Awesome tip, Daryl. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That is a fantastic tip. Okay, let's...
One from Caitlin. How
Great.
long before you cruise will they start putting up excursions?
Caitlin asks, how long before you cruise will the cruise line start putting up the excursions that you can browse through? Every cruise line's a little bit different, but usually they're up pretty early. I've been on some sailings where they don't go onto the website until about 90 days before the cruise, but then I've been on some where they're up a year in advance. So it really does vary, and there are going to be new ones added that you want to check for too. So it really depends. And don't forget that you can research, other avenues for your excursions as well. You are definitely not limited to your cruise line for booking your excursions. There's lots of different options for you in that regard. Jim Jazz says, Shipmate app is awesome. I use it every time. Good tip. Yeah, Jimmy, I use Shipmate all the time too. It's on the front page of my phone. It's really fun. I love scrolling through the photos. Sometimes after work, I'll just kind of open it up and scroll through photos and like and comment on them and all that good stuff. So I think it's really fun too. Bonnie Lee said Coki Beach is where she learned to play dominoes. That's really funny. Cheryl Ann Matthew is asking if there's a hurricane policy with cruise lines. In most of the cruise line contracts, they will tell you that they're not going to give you a refund or anything like that, that the cruise line is at the mercy of the weather. But generally speaking, when ports are missed or something does happen, the cruise lines oftentimes will compensate people, but you don't want to count on that, because for the most part they've written it into their policy that weather, acts of God, things like that there's nothing that they can do. They're not going to give you a refund. What they'll probably try to do is alter course. So they're probably going to try to take you to a safer port rather than canceling altogether. Of course, if they have to cancel due to weather or something like that, you will be compensated and taken care of. Every line is a little bit different though, so you'll see some variety there. Great, okay. Bishy is asking if I think taking disinfectant spray and surface cleansing wipes for cleaning the room on embarkation day is overkill. Bishy, I do not think it's overkill. I take a small packet of surface cleaning wipes. What?
Wherever we go.
No, we take them everywhere we go. My husband's like, overkill? What are you talking about? That's a requirement. No, we do.
A
hazmat suit. I know, I put on my hazmat suit. I generally don't take room disinfecting spray though. That I do not do, but I do a little surface wipe down. Nothing crazy. I wipe down the doorknobs, the table surfaces, all of the light switches, the phone, and the little table that's in the room. I mean, I think it's a good idea, but you also have to consider we have a little child who's into everything. I mean, he will go and literally put his mouth on the table. And I don't know why kids do that kind of thing, but they do. So we absolutely do. Okay, let's see here. I'm sure we've got some more good questions. Derek Armstrong is asking, has anyone ever done Behind the Fun on Carnival? Derek, we haven't done it on Carnival. We've done those ship tour type things and bridge tours on other lines, and they are fantastic. Highly recommend it. I know someone who did Behind the Fun on Carnival. They got to go in and see all of those entertainment areas. Behind the scenes where they do all of the production shows, and they said it was outstanding. They got to meet some of the cast, see the area where all the costumes are, really see some more stuff in the kitchen. So I think you should absolutely do that. Lauren, yes, I will sanitize my TV remote. You know it. You know it. I did forget to say it, but you know. Jim Jazz, what is the termite? I don't know. You guys are so funny about the hazmat suit. Oh my goodness sakes. Oh my goodness. Chris Vaughn has a tip. If you're worried about gaining weight on a cruise, take the stairs. Yeah, if you can take the stairs, I know not everyone can. We highly recommend it. It is a great way to burn calories. I always joke with my husband that I come back from a cruise in better shape than when I left for one, because we really do. We take the stairs almost exclusively. I will sneak onto an elevator on occasion on formal night if I am wearing kind of high pumps, though. I gotta tell you, sometimes I get a little bit uncomfortable on the stairs. Not so much because they hurt my feet. I feel kind of wobbly. You know, the ship's moving. You're on one of those last sea days.
Take the stairs and take an 8-year-old boy to race you.
My husband said, yes, to not gain weight on a cruise, take the stairs and take an 8-year-old boy to race you. Yeah, that's true. That's very good. They do race up the stairs, my husband and son, and I'm the one who's like lagging behind with my little purse and kind of, you know, I'm keeping up, but I'm not going as fast as they are. But it is terrific exercise, especially when you're going to eat. I think it's really funny. Like, take a flight of 4 stairs to go to the buffet, but hey, you gotta, you know, you're strengthening those quadricep muscles so that you can burn more calories throughout your cruise. That's how I look at it. So I would like to see if we're missing any questions here. Adam wants to know if NCL has something like behind the scenes on their ships. Adam, I think that they probably do on limited sailings, but I have never been on one. So I would recommend that you search cruiseline.com in the forums or reviews and see if you can find anyone who can answer your question there. I think that'd be a really good idea. Okay. Lauren said that they were just on Adventure of the Seas and paid for the galley tour with the champagne lunch, but it was a waste of money. Yeah, those galley tours can be kind of sterile. I've noticed if it's just the galley, it's fun, but it can be crowded and busy, and you're just kind of walking through a really empty kitchen. I understand what you mean. Cheryl Ann said that NCL does do tours, but you have to book on board, so they may not pre-advertise that. And Jimmy says his step count during cruises is astronomical compared to normal days at home. Jimmy, me too. I got up to 20,000 steps in one day, and that's not normal for me either. So that's good. Benny Morosco wants to know, what is behind the fun? Benny, Behind the Fun is a ship tour that you can go on. I believe it's on Carnival, where you get to go to several different areas of the ship that are normally not accessible to regular passengers. So this is something that goes beyond just a ship tour. They're going to be taking you to the entertainment areas, to the areas in the galley that you haven't seen, sometimes crew areas, but generally not. On some ships, the bridge, but that is not always necessarily included. There's just a lot of cool stuff to see. People do highly recommend that one. So I think that's okay. Emily says, hi, I'm late. Emily, you're never late. We're so glad to have you here. Welcome. Thank you so much. It looks like Nick just joined the stream too. Hi, Nick. Welcome. Allie V wants to know, what cruise line is our go-to for an Alaskan cruise? Allie, we have the most experience on Princess cruises out of Alaska, but they're all wonderful. Holland America also does Alaska beautifully, and Holland America also offers a lot of beautiful cruise tours. So you could do a land tour, short or long, before or after your cruise. Princess does the same thing. There are lots of lines that cruise up in Alaska though. Celebrity, Carnival, Norwegian. I'm not sure if Royal Caribbean's up there right now, but they might be. Carnival has the Legend, I believe, up there. There's just so many choices, so we recommend that. Tasman wants to know if we've ever snorkeled with sea turtles. Tasman, we did that in Hawaii one time, but it wasn't on a cruise, and it was wonderful. It was so cool. It was great. We also saw some sea turtles when we were in the Riviera Maya last year on a land vacation, and it was wonderful. They're so cute. In Hawaii, the sea turtles were giant. They were like this big, but in the Riviera Maya near Cancun, they were like about that big, and they were absolutely gorgeous, and they love to eat little pieces of food. If you take it out with you, that really attracts them. Cruiseline.com is agreeing with the fact that Princess and Holland America tend to offer the most Alaska cruise choices. Definitely agree with that. That is very true. Call Center Boy, in Alaska, what is the one thing you have to see? Depends on what ports you're going to, but I think you need to see a glacier. You need to find a way. Your ship will likely stop at a glacier on a glacier day, but you could take a bus to Mendenhall Glacier if you're stopping in Juneau, and you can actually hike out to these beautiful falls that are right beneath the glacier. They're fantastic. If you can go flight seeing to a glacier, that's all the even better. It's wonderful. People say great things about the Misty Fjords flight plane experience as well, and I believe that's out of Ketchikan. That's not a helicopter tour. That's more of an airplane type of a thing, a float plane. That's fantastic. So hope that helps. A lot of people really like to go see the salmon ladders as well, to see the salmon spawning upstream in Alaska. That can be a treat. Wildlife tours to go see the wildlife. Cruiseline.com says that you can look for an Alaskan itinerary that visits Glacier Bay National Park. It's an amazing day. Couldn't agree more. Fantastic. Definitely glaciers. That's something to focus on. And when you do visit the glacier, pack slightly warmer clothes than you normally would, because it'll be a little bit chillier on those glacial excursions or the glacier day on your cruise, because it's just frosty and freezing. And we generally bust out the scarves, hats, and sometimes even the mittens and the hot cocoa on those days. Bonnie says, no cruise lines are in Alaska right now. March is not cruising season. You are right, Bonnie. We're getting there, though. Very late April to early May, they will start up again in Alaska. Okay, let's see here. It looks like, are you sharing our music playlist, or what is that playlist there?
It's an Alaska playlist.
Okay, got it. We have a lot of Alaska video playlists that my husband just shared here as well. If all of you have been with us on our YouTube channel for a while, you'll probably know that we did some great ship tours and some port videos on our cruise in 2015 to Alaska. Those are a lot of fun and definitely worth checking out to see all the different areas. We went to Haines, we went to Juneau, Ketchikan, and Victoria, which is not obviously in Alaska. It's in Canada, but it's a wonderful little stop. We had high tea at the Empress Hotel, and that was a real treat, and we have a video on that, so you should check those out. Oh yeah, at Juneau, we went to the Red Dog Saloon. That was so much fun. It's a wild, wacky little place. You just have to see it to believe it. There's sawdust on the floor, if you can imagine. It's really fantastic, though. All right, we're getting a lot more comments coming in right now, so I want to take a look. Oh my goodness, Jennifer McKenzie has an Alaska tip, went horseback riding in Skagway. I want to get back to the Caribbean, you guys, and ask you some questions about the Caribbean. So let's focus back on that, and I want to know, what is your favorite cruise line private island and why? My favorite cruise line private island that I've ever been to is Half Moon Cay. We went there on a Holland America excursion. Gosh, it's probably been more than 10 years, but it was absolutely fantastic, and I'd love to go back. So tell me, what is your favorite cruise line private island and why in the comments? Let's see, go. What do we have here? Okay. Let's see here. Oh, who's Steve? Cheryl Ann Matthew says, does Steve ever make an on-camera appearance? Who's Steve, Cheryl?
Must be happy.
Are you thinking my husband's name is Steve? His name is not Steve. That is really cute, though, and so funny. Night Audit is agreeing that high tea at the Empress is a good one. Sounds great. All right, Brandy Whiting, we've got our first entrant into the cruise line private island discussion, and she's agreeing with me. She says Half Moon Cay. Yes, it's wonderful. So fantastic. Yes, the sand is like walking on flour. Very cool. Who else do we have weighing in on this here? All right, Bethany's going to Half Moon Cay in December. You are going to love it. There's so much to do. You could rent a clamshell on the beach or even just sit in a lounge chair all day and be totally happy on Half Moon Cay, Bethany. You could go jet skiing. I think you can go horseback riding, probably parasailing. It's been a while since I've been there. So let's see if somebody else wants to weigh in. All right. Call center boy, Mike and Cheryl say Princess Caye is their favorite. It's not over the top, but it's simply great sights and wonderful sights. All right. Very cool. Another weigh-in from Bonnie, Princess Cays. Bonnie booked the private bungalow at Princess Cays with a seafood feast. Are you kidding me? That sounds absolutely wonderful. So excited. I love that. Okay, Bonnie Lee is saying Labadee is her favorite. Aside from the great beach and water, you can get a great shot of the ship. Yes. PJ's only been to Great Stirrup Cay, but loved it. It has a nice beach, fun activities. Daryl McRae, which one has the nicest beach? You'll have to let me know. All right, so we're weighing in on the private islands, you guys. Good job. I want to know what your favorite port is or your favorite excursion in the Caribbean as well. So favorite port, favorite excursion. You can still tell me about your favorite private island too. I would love to hear that. Let me know. Somebody here wants to know, how is Harvest Caye? And they know it's the new private island for NCL going there in May. If anybody knows, let us know. Cruiseline.com is saying that Disney's Castaway Cay always comes in out of the top, on their top list of member favorite private islands. And I believe that Castaway Cay has a dock and you don't have to tender. So that's probably a huge draw for people, which is wonderful. Tracy wants to know if renting a cabana in Labadee is worth the money if you're not in the Royal Caribbean Suite area. Tracy, I've heard that the cabanas are amazing on Labadee and that they're totally worth it. I have heard several people say that. So I would probably invest in one if you are going to really enjoy that day. Get off the ship early and go for it. Be spoiled. Okay. Looks like some more people talking about Labadee here. Brandy says her favorite port is Half Moon Cay and Bermuda is also beautiful. Adam says his favorite port is Grand Turk. Bonnie says St. Thomas, cha-ching. Bonnie, are you talking about shopping or gambling? What's the cha-ching? Let me know. That's so funny. Okay. Cost? Oh, it's expensive. Yes. Okay, thank you. Probably true. Mike and Cheryl say their favorite port, hands down, is Barbados and Grand Cayman. Awesome. On the Move with the Meeks said they just returned from Ensenada on the Carnival Imagination. Loved it. They just returned yesterday. Hey, welcome back, you guys. It sounds like you had good weather down there. Daryl's voting for Half Moon Cay as well. Lauren Bloomberg said St. Thomas is tops with Megan's Bay. You go through a rainforest to get to the bay with great snorkeling. Okay, that is on my list, Lauren. That sounds wonderful. Benny said that Grand Turk is the favorite. Great beach day and close to the ship. Yes, let's see here. Okay. CruiseLine.com is talking to us a little bit about Harvest Caye right now, Harvest Cay. They said that their reviews indicate that so far, cruisers are evenly split between positive and negative thoughts on Harvest Caye. So that one sounds like it's getting some mixed reviews, you guys. We'll have to see how it shakes out. CruiseLine.com, hey Simon, is that in Belize? Is Harvest Caye the one that's new in Belize? I'd be interested to hear that. I think it is. Jennifer McKenzie says, favorite port, San Juan, Puerto Rico. They went to the Bacardi distillery and bottled their own bottle of rum for their 30th anniversary. That sounds fantastic, and that was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Cheryl says Castaway Cay for Disney is wonderful. You can get off the ship and ride a golf cart to the main part. Beautiful water, could stay there for a week. Amo Ama Samat says they love St. Thomas. Bonnie, thank you, the cha-ching was shopping. Okay, got it, I appreciate it. Tracy McCoy says Great Stirrup Cay was one of the best days of the cruise into the Bahamas. Okay, so Great Stirrup Cay is getting good ones. And cruiseline.com says yes, Norwegian's new port is in Belize. Thank you for clearing that up, Simon. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Great. Let's see here. Lydia wants to know if we've ever cruised out of Florida. Yes, not Tampa, Orlando. We've only been out of Fort Lauderdale and Miami, but they're wonderful. You know, it's like a well-oiled machine. There's so many ships going in and out. We love cruising out of Miami, but it is literally across the United States from us. We live in California, so we cruise out of California or the West Coast when we can, to include Alaska. It's just a lot easier, and that way we can spend the money on the cruise and not the airfare. So yes, we have some recommendations coming in that San Juan, Puerto Rico is a lot of fun. Jimmy, I would agree. I would love to go to San Juan. I've heard that there's like that fort that's walking distance, and that just sounds like a beautiful place to go for sunset or whatever it may be, and that coming in and out of the port is just beautiful there as well. All right, you guys, what do you think is the best port for first-time cruisers? So that's our next question. And if you're not too sure about which port is best for first-time cruisers, what Caribbean port are you most curious about? and why? Now, I know we're coming up on an hour here. The time always flies by. How does that happen? But let's get some more Caribbean discussion going here. Okay. Let's see. Bethany wants some tips on where to stay in Fort Lauderdale the day before or after cruising. If anybody has any ideas there, let her know. More people saying San Juan, Puerto Rico is amazing. Couldn't agree more. Okay. So do we have any questions that you know that I've missed today? Anything else? Okay, sounds good. We're not missing questions today, which is good. Sometimes, you guys, this goes so fast that we miss your question. So if I have missed your question, please let us know. Probably going to hang around here in the chat for about 5 more minutes and then wrap it up if that sounds okay with everybody here. We're so glad today that we did not have technical difficulties getting the live stream going. It was super smooth and wonderful. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us. This has been really awesome. Okay, it looks like... Okay, yes, we've got some information coming in on the fort in San Juan. Do old San Juan during the day and new San Juan at night for security reasons. Good advice. Amo Amasamat says the best port for first-time cruisers is Key West. That's a good one. Bonnie says the last cruise to the Caribbean on Princess, booked the bungalow for the 87-year-old friend. Priority tendering, golf cart to the bungalow. Sounds awesome. Sounds like they treated you really well, Bonnie. Okay, let's see. Okay, cruiseline.com is recommending the Riverside Hotel as a great option in Fort Lauderdale. It's right in the heart of Los Olas Boulevard dining and shopping district. Thank you for weighing in on that. Okay, Juanita Clark says they're doing the Southern Caribbean next year and is interested in learning scuba. That sounds great. Jimmy's saying that Key West is also good for first-time cruisers. Lots to do, no currency issues, and everybody speaks English. That's a good one. Okay. Roberto, I'm so sorry I didn't see your question on thoughts on porthole rooms. I don't think I answered it, and I don't think I saw your question. I'm so sorry. I've never sailed in a porthole room. I've stayed in a hotel with a little porthole, but if you mean a window cabin, they're wonderful. Any type of a peak of the ocean that you can get is great. I always prefer a balcony, but any peak of the ocean will do for me. I think that's great. Okay, let's see. Sydney wants to know, when flying a day or two prior to the cruise, how do you get transportation for a family to the hotel? I'm assuming that you mean to the cruise or from, to the hotel, so from the airport. I would recommend that you look at something like Super Shuttle or even Uber these days might be able to provide you in advance with a van or something large enough for a family, so check that out. I think that will work. We have someone saying that for first-time cruisers, Nassau is great and Atlantis is fun for first-timers. Let's see here. Emma wants to know, what are some last-minute things we forget when packing? Sunglasses. I'm always really afraid not to grab my sunglasses. That is one that I'm really afraid about forgetting. Let's see. Okay, it looks like we've got somebody coming in from Australia. Hey, better late than never. Welcome, Wendy Smith. We're so glad to have you here. Okay, let's see. Looks like we've got some questions about hotels in Miami as well. I'm not sure we're going to have time to answer those today, but we'll try to get you some tips in a future vlog if we can. And I think that we've got one recommendation. Okay, we've got Port of Miami Holiday Inn coming in for the person who needed the Miami hotel port recommendation. Anybody else? Did we miss any other questions? I don't think that we did. This is awesome, you guys. Fantastic. So much fun interacting with everybody today. Thank you so much to our sponsor, cruiseline.com, and to Simon for taking time out of his Saturday to hang out with us today and to comment and help everyone out. You are a wealth of information, Simon. Thank you so very much for all of the tips. I hope all of you enjoyed this live stream today. We are going to try to do this a couple of times a month if we can. It seems to be working out really well. We enjoy the live interaction with everybody here. We love the pace of it. We think it's absolutely wonderful. So thank you very much for everyone. I'm just looking one more time to see if there's any more questions that we want to grab before the end, but I think that we are wrapping up right now. Thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Again, special thanks to our sponsor, cruiseline.com. Be sure to check them out online and also check out Shipmate app. It is a lot of fun. Until next time, we'll see you on the high seas. Bye.
Cruiser of the week.
Hey. Click me to subscribe.